Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome back to another Eternal News video. Time to talk about the second half of the first community spoiler batch. We actually have quite a backlog. I'll try to catch up on all the things that happened in the last 2 or 3 days. Parts of the community spoiler batch too, and 2 articles with like card cycles and or a new mechanic from Direwolf that dropped. Sorry, I'm pretty busy right now, so yeah, I'll try to catch up on it as fast as possible. Anyway, time to talk about the second half of the first community spoiler batch to get that out of the way. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification icon, and consider whitelisting Eternal Titans and YouTube on your adblock to help support the content. So let's talk about the cards. Alright, so first we have Triptych Master. That's actually kind of a cool and interesting card that fits nicely into the whole Auralian Red Cage Relic theme deck. So basically, let's say you play a Red Cage turn 1, turn 2 you attack, you trigger Onslaught for this, you play this, it is a 2/2 from the Red Cage, you get to play the Cryptic Etchings, which gives you another red, and this becomes a 3/3. So that's incredible. You just played a 2-cost 3/3 that will grow, gave you a free Cryptic Etchings for the late game, and gave you another red. That's insane. Like, the card is really good in this kind of deck and will be a great addition, making the deck a bit robuster in the early game and more aggressive. This together with the 1-drop Endurance guy, the Prospector, Lucky Prospector I think is the name, is a card that I actually have been playing in the deck from the start. Not sure why nobody else did. I think the card is amazing. It's an amazing 1-drop. The deck is good at activating it. It's super aggressive, hits for 3 on turn 2. It's insane. It makes your power base better. It blocks well, it attacks and blocks. It does everything. The card is amazing. And this together with like Teacher on turn 2 just makes this a super robust, more proactive, more unit-based deck that just is looking better and better. I love the card. The card is great. So excited to like see what Auralian rats or relics or whatever looks like with this card, and possibly whatever else the new set brings. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Anyway, on to the next card. Next we have Gust Rider. This is kind of a cool card in a way. It's a 1-cost 1/1 flying, and if you have Onslaught, then you get to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. The card's probably only gonna be like corner case interesting for Constructed. Like, it seems kind of interesting for Reanimator strategies, in the sense of like you play your 2-drop, the deck has a bunch of 2-drops, and then you like attack on turn 3, and you can play this to dig through your deck and get rid of stuff that you have to discard. Basically, this seems like an interesting kind of enabler for decks that want to dig for stuff that are kind of combo-y and can trigger Onslaught somehow, and then you get like this thing that kind of pings your opponent or just provides a jump blocker. It's more of an interesting role player in certain decks rather than a widely playable card, but it might be a bit more useful and more interesting than some people might think out there. Next we have Bren Ark Magister, basically a big Bren. It's a 7-cost 5/5, and when you play another card you get +1 power this turn. So basically this has some fringe combo potential. Can't think of anything too specific right now. People were thinking of something like Vodakhan plus this, but even that is not that impressive or exciting, plus the color requirements getting pretty steep and they're both 7-drops. I'm not too excited about this, but the effect is certainly kind of unique and powerful, so there might be a way to break this card. I just can't really think of a good way off the top of my head. But yeah, there's potential. Maybe there's a better way to try this with Talia. Then you could go like Praxis Talia and try to like kill people with Flame Blast or whatever after drawing through a bunch of your stuff. Stuff like that. So I don't know. Definitely an interesting card to kind of mess around with, but I'll leave that to combo people. Someone like Isomorphic or whatever might come up with a cool idea. We will see. Next we have Vettius Faithful. This card's actually kind of cool. Like, sure, it's a common and all, and it might seem like a draft card, but this card's actually potentially pretty good. So if you play a 1-drop and attack, you get a 2-cost 3/3. No other downside, which is pretty good already. And every time you basically warp this on turn 2, after attacking with your 1-drop, this card is legit insane. Like, this card is legit about as powerful as like Teacher, or in some ways kind of more powerful. Like, it's as powerful as like Glasshopper, and Glasshopper is so good people build like entire decks around it. So yeah, I think this card's actually kind of interesting. Heavily depends on how good a Justice-based 1-drop heavy aggressive deck can be in the format, but if there is such a deck, this card is pretty interesting in that I think the main issue sort of is that the competition is pretty steep. We have Hoyan, we have the newly unnerved Crownwatch Paladin, we have Ivrian Arcano, for example, which is one of the more likely color combinations. We also have the Champion of Glory, and Fire doesn't have that much right now. It's basically just like Outlaw, which isn't that great. But yeah, the competition is like not that easy, so it might just fall by the wayside, but the card is legit like constructed power level appealing for aggressive decks, so I wouldn't discard this one too soon. Then we have Eviscerate. You kill an enemy unit for 5 power. It's a spell, and if you have Onslaught, the enemy player discards the top 5 cards of their deck. So yeah, this is just like your limited removal. That card is unplayable in constructed, and not even great in limited, but it's a fine removal in limited, basically. Then we have Eclipse Dragon. This is a pretty cool one. Fairly excited for this one. It's basically kind of like the new phase of Soulfire Drake, after old Soulfire Drake was decided to be too good. There's a bit more balance, hits a little less hard, it has more offense-defense stats, but it does a couple of cool things. First of all, we get a 5-cost flying charge quick draw, so it attacks pretty well into most other flyers, including a Sheltering Rider now that it got changed, even if you can't break the Aegis. It also blocks okay if you have to, and the ability is kind of nice. At the start of the enemy turn, you get +3 power this turn. So yeah, basically you want to pair this with instant type cards like Elia's messaging me in the back. Wait a second. Gotta like put myself on unavailable. Alright. Anyway. So yeah, this card looks pretty cool, and if you pair it with enough instant type stuff, Torch, Annihilate, that sort of stuff, maybe some new instants you can get a lot of tempo from this. Obviously, it still has the potential issue of being a bit awkward into something like an already active Titan, but that's much less of a problem than it used to be back in the day when I really hated Soulfire Drake against time decks, because now we have so much more removal, so many more ways to deal with Titan, and also less Titans overall, so that's a lot less of a concern. It dies to Rune Hammer, so that's a minor concern without any upside, unlike Soulfire Drake. But yeah, it has 4 toughness, like 4 health, so it doesn't die to something like a Rizan the following turn, for example, which is pretty relevant. Same goes for a Gunrunner and her weapon, or his weapon, actually. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty good 5-drop and will fit great into some decks and might also spawn new decks. It's just the kind of 5-drop we needed, because Fire doesn't really have a good 5-drop other than Gunrunner, which is specific to Pledge, and this is a good mid-rangey, proactive Fire 5-drop for bigger aggro and or like mid-rangey aggressive decks that usually had to rely on their second color or multicolor cards to provide them with a playable 5-drop. In a lot of cases there was just none in both colors or in the multicolor cards. So yeah, really like this card. Next we have Zumukan, the Surveyor. Seems like this is going to be a cycle of one card in each color. This is the time one. 5 time influence, 5 power, the 6/6. I think the other one was a 6/6 too, so it seems like they're all going to be like 5 cost, 5 influence, 6/6, warp, and some abilities. This one has ambush in addition, making it a 2-for-1 basically. Out of the gate there, just ambushing something your opponent has. And then usually you eat a creature, which means you also get a 1/1 Explorer, which is a bit underwhelming. So it basically is like when Zumukan kills a unit, you play a 1/1 Explorer, which doesn't happen that often. Like you eat one, you get a token, then you attack, the opponent will basically just try and avoid to block. And even if they like do, you get a second one, which is not that much. It seems like it's going to be a bit worse than the Shadow one, and less reason to bend over backwards to be mono time to play this card. But it's still kind of a nice card, just not sold that the whole like pushing for mono faction thing is going to work out, especially in time. I just don't feel like mono time has the tools these days to really be a thing. Shadow has like more interaction, better interaction. It has fairly strong payoffs in cards like Marionette Cross being like a 3-faction 5/5 with little downside and stuff like that. So Mono Shadow I can see working a whole lot more, especially now that we got Desecrate. But yeah, Mono Time, probably not, but the card's still kinda nice. So, sorry about that. On to the last card. The last card of the first community spoiler batch is Isolate. It's a 2-cost fastball. It kills an enemy unit that is attacking alone. That's actually quite interesting because it's unconditional in the sense of what it kills. It can kill any unit. It just have to be alone. So that is actually a pretty nice removal in the early game, like on turn 2 or 3 for the first attacker. It also works after Harsh Rule for the attacker afterwards. It's nice against charged units on an empty board. Card does quite a bunch of things actually. Like it's obviously more of a defensive card, more of a like control or defensive like grindy mid-range card. But it is pretty nice. I like what it does. Definitely a card that will see some play here and there. So yeah. So far I like most of the cards that we've seen. Like this new set looks pretty exciting. The quality of cards seems fairly high. A lot of cards are interesting and have applications. So yeah. I don't know, like at the very least I think what we can glean from this is that they're doing a lot better job with the spoiler season. I think in the past we got to see so many of the crappy cards from the set and only got like the cool cards in the set with the set, making people like kind of underwhelmed and disappointed in the set before it even drops, which is a pretty bad thing. And this time we get to see like mostly interesting and cool and kind of relevant cards as spoilers. They don't have to be like constructed slam dunks. They just have to like not suck and be like, hey, this is a card I could see playing in constructed. This card is interesting. This card is different. Yada yada. And most of the cards we've seen had that. They have some form of constructed implication. Some cases more fringe and more like niche, like specific role players, like the 1-drop that draws 2, discards 2. But even that card is not like just draft chef. That's actually a card that can have implications in very specific constructed circumstances because there's not a whole lot of this like kind of frantic looting types stuff in Eternal yet, so it's fairly unique, and having a body attached to it isn't bad either. So yeah, I really like how this is looking and how the set is shaping up. Also what I've seen from like the 2 spoiler articles that I will discuss in coming videos and parts of the second community spoiler batch. That is looking cool, that is looking interesting. Definitely will get me more excited about the game and the new set. Looking forward to it. And yeah, as in case you haven't known yet, I haven't heard or seen yet, in one of the article about this like board deck building Eternal related game, they mentioned that the set will come out, I think, Friday next week on the 9th or 10th. Might be even on 9th on Thursday. But yeah, anyway, by the end of next week, we will get the new set, so we get an announcement of a release date a week in advance, which is pretty nice too. So yeah, can't wait. We'll try to make a stream once the set drops, so you can catch me live, and of course we'll do a whole set review and the whole shebang. Anyway, that's it again for the second half of the first community spoiler batch. I'll be back with more in the coming days. So until then, hit the like button if you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the cards, my opinions, the content. Anything constructive and engaging is welcome. Share it with your friends if you enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for more. Don't forget to turn on the notification icon so you actually get notified once there's new content. And please consider whitelisting YouTube and Eternal Titans on your adblock to help support our content. We really appreciate it. That's it again for this time. I'm your host ManuS. I thank you for watching, and I see you next time. Bye.